After a couple of weeks doing PR damage control, Mercedes are back to allegedly sabotaging Lewis Hamilton. Lucky for the seven-time world champion, he was handed a win after the FIA disqualified George Russell. It's getting messy over at Brackley, and I know you're itching to hear all about it. Stay tuned. George Russell put in a stellar performance at the Belgian Grand Prix, finishing in first place with Lewis close behind in second. But a few hours after the race, the team received disappointing news. The FIA discovered that George's car was under the minimum weight limit at the end of the race, leading to his disqualification. Sadly, George's impressive race didn't count. Lewis was then promoted to first place. This was his second victory of the season and the team's third, adding to their previous wins at Spielberg and Silverstone. The team is now looking into what led to the disqualification to understand the situation better. Russell's car initially met the minimum weight limit of 798 kg when the FIA first weighed it. But after the checkered flag, Joe Bauer, the FIA's F1 technical director, confirmed during routine checks that Russell's Mercedes W15 was under the minimum weight required by Article 4.1 of the technical regulations. After draining 2.8 litres from the fuel tank to take the required 1 litre fuel sample for scrutineering, the car was found to be 1.5 kilograms underweight. The steward's report stated, the stewards heard from the team representative, Car 63, George Russell, the FIA technical delegate, the FIA single-seater director, and the FIA single-seater technical director. Car 63 was weighed on the FIA inside and outside scales, with both scales showing the same result of 796.5 kilograms. The calibration of both scales was confirmed and witnessed by the competitor. During the hearing, the team representative confirmed that the measurement is correct and that all required procedures were performed correctly. The team also acknowledged that there were no mitigating circumstances and that it was a genuine error by the team. The stewards determined that Article 4.1 of the FIA Formula 1 technical regulations has been breached, and therefore the standard penalty for such an infringement needs to be applied. Competitors are reminded that they have the right to appeal certain decisions of the stewards. In accordance with Article 15 of the FIA International Sporting Code and Chapter 4 of the FIA Judicial and Disciplinary Rules, within the applicable time limits. This follows the FIA's sporting regulations, specifically Article 35.3, which states, the relevant car may be disqualified should its weight be less than that specified in Article 4.1 of the technical regulations when weighed in accordance with Articles 35.1 or 35.2, save where the deficiency in weight results from the accidental loss of a component of the car. Mercedes now tells Sky F1's Craig Slater that they believe the switch from a two-stop to a one-stop strategy caused Russell to run on his hard tyres for 3/4 of the race. The added tyre degradation from the one-stop could have contributed several hundred grams of weight loss per tyre. George Russell has since spoken out about his heartbreaking disqualification from the Belgian GP, which cost him the victory at Spa. In a social media post, Russell described the situation as heartbreaking, but expressed pride in his performance and assured fans that more wins are on the horizon. Heartbreaking. We came in 1.5 kilos underweight and have been disqualified from the race, he wrote. We left it all on the track today and I take pride in crossing the line first. There will be more to come. Just before the Russell disqualification was announced, Mercedes principal Toto Wolff told the media that the team needed to accept the decision if it came through, and it did. He emphasised that the significant positive takeaway was that they were the benchmark in the race. He said, look, we have to take it on the chin if the stewards decide against us. It is what it is. A mistake has happened or could have happened, and a 1-2 would have been a great result going into the summer break. It couldn't go any better. The positives, the very positive, that we can take from this race is that we had two cars that were the benchmark in this race with two different strategies. Who would have said that a few months ago? And that is really good to see. Toto Wolff has admitted that Mercedes has no excuse and clearly made a mistake that led to George Russell losing his Belgian GP victory due to a technical rules breach. I think it's the one stop that you expect lots of rubber, maybe more, but there's no excuse. If the stewards team deems it to be a breach of regulations, then it is what it is. We have to learn from that. And as a team, there are more positives to take. Obviously, for George, that's a massive blow. A driver and all his childhood dreams to win these races, and then it's being probably taken away. But he's gonna win many more. Wolff explained that the team didn't anticipate winning the race at Spa-Francorchamps. After a lackluster free practice on Friday, he was only hoping for a podium finish from Hamilton. We were expecting at best a podium, but the car worked well on one stop and two stops. Wolff's lack of confidence in Hamilton is telling of where the seven-time champ stood in the team. Before finding out that he actually won, Sir Lewis complained at the end of the race that he had plenty of tyre life left after each stop. This suggested that the team's lack of foresight was a factor, as they did not put him on a one-stop strategy as well. Hamilton said in the post-race interview, "It was a bit of a shock at the end to see George staying out, but we'll take that in-house and move forward. We can all go into the Suma break with our heads held high. George wasn't in my race for the most of it. If the strategy had been done right, he wouldn't have been in my race. We wouldn't have been having that conversation. Every stint I had tyres left, but the team pulled me in. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. We definitely didn't expect it. Congratulations to George and the team. We had a disaster on Friday, car was nowhere. But it was fantastic today. If we can continue these types of performance, it will be fantastic. We've got to keep pushing." Speaking to the media in Spa, Lewis added more details about his omission from Russell's race-winning tactics. "You have to put the faith in the people you work with. I put my faith in my strategists. I should be able to lean on them fully. I told them that the tyres were fine and they pulled me in. Did I know I was at risk of getting one stopped by my teammate? They didn't tell me that." When asked about how George Russell handled the one-stop strategy, F1 presenter Karan Chandhok added fuel to Lewis's fire. He praised Russell's decision-making and execution, and he revealed that it was he who came up with the one-stop strategy. He said, "I think that's the first question Lewis Hamilton will be asking at the team debrief because a one-stop wasn't on anybody's radar in the morning. I just spoke with some of their Mercedes people and even they didn't consider it. But I think what is clear, here in the first stint they were saying that it was harder to overtake than all of us though. All through the weekend, this is one of the easiest tracks to overtake on. Maybe with the shorter DRS and the way the wind was, it was harder to overtake and the tyres were overheating at the end. I think they had a conversation with George about that thinking, what do you think? And clearly he came back and said, think about the one-stop. I agree with Ted Kravitz. Russell made it happen. He called for the one-stop. But he hung on, which is super impressive." Chandhok also defended Hamilton's right to be upset about the result in Spa. "If I was Lewis and I'd just seen the fact that my teammates won when I was 12 seconds ahead of him on a different strategy, I wouldn't be happy." His face was thunder in the cool-down room. Lewis exists to win. He's had 200 podiums, so I guess 201 doesn't mean something. But he exists to win, and will be very annoyed not to win today. When asked if Lewis should be disappointed with the result, given he was 12 seconds ahead of his teammate at one point, Toto Wolff took a diplomatic approach, aiming to avoid any conflict. "I'd like to have had two winners today, but we had to stop Lewis cover Norris because we would have been undercut, that was the call, and George had nothing to lose because we were at P5, and the one-stop and the two-stop simulations were showing P5. So we just kept him out." Looking to the future of the team without Hamilton, Mercedes boss admitted that his junior driver is ready for the challenge of stepping up as the team leader next season. "Yes, he's very strong and the two of them today were so much sure, so good, but George is stepping up, it's all good." So, did Mercedes intentionally keep Lewis Hamilton in the dark? Or was it just a lapse in communication? Tell us what you think of the situation in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.